Joining me right now is Adam Townsend. He is going to fight at ACB 88 in Brisbane, Australia on June 16th. What's going on, Adam? Welcome to Kumite Radio.
Hey, man. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt. I want to go back to your last fight, last November, ACB 74. You were the main event in Austria. You took a majority decision loss to Arbi Agujev.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the result and your performance?
I thought the fight should have been scored a draw, in my opinion. I thought I won second or third round. I can't remember which round it was. I thought the first round was a 9-9 round. It should have been like a 9-8 round for me because he should have 2 points deducted. I'm not here to make excuses or none of that stuff. It's, I didn't control the octagon like I should have. I didn't. I just didn't do the things that I should have done. So, I lost the fight, no doubt about it. But technically, I definitely feel like I lost the fight, but scoring it should have been scored a draw, in my opinion.
It seems that ACB, they don't really care about the results. What they care about is the fights. So is it better to be competing for an organization like this?
I'm not sure. I do like the fact that they have 5 judges. And, but when you're fighting a Russian guy or an Australian guy, an Austrian guy, it's going to be harder for you to win a decision. That's the best thing about now. I'm fighting Brett Cooper, and, he's an American, I'm an American, we're going to Australia. So I don't feel like that's going to be an issue as far as, all that other stuff, that you'd have to worry about, previously with the judges or the scoring. So that's one good thing about this fight, that I have coming up.
A lot of people say, the old adage, you win or you learn. Was that the case in your last fight?
Yeah, I don't really like that terminology. I really don't. That ain't something I ever say. A loss, it hurts pretty bad to me. All my losses are by decision. I've never been finished. I don't even think I've ever been close to being finished, honestly. I feel like I've always been in the fight for every time. And, I've lost some close decisions and I've won some close decisions as well. Sorry. But, it's just one of those things like, I did learn some things in that fight. I guess you could say that. But at the end of the day, it was still frustrating, nevertheless.
Did you go into retirement after that fight?
Well, I kind of already in retirement. I was running for a county office back in my hometown and ended up losing that election. So I didn't get an office. So that's why I'm kind of, I'm taking fighting seriously again. Like, I wasn't really training that hard for, my last couple fights. I was taking them, this one I'm like, I'm taking very, very serious. I'm really in the gym. My weight's already, where it needs to be basically. There's not a lot that to improve on right now at this point. I'm feeling great, just getting my cardio up there a little bit more. And other than that, I feel great about this whole camp already. So it's good.
Before we talk about your camp, I want to go back to what you said, that you were running for public office, and it was for Carter County Register of Deeds. What exactly is that position, and how was that experience running against somebody?
Yeah, I was running against another guy and another girl. The guy beat me. It was a crazy experience. It was just seeing how politics are. Everything in life that you do, whether it's journalism or whether it's fighting or anything, politics are always involved in everything you do, in some way or another. But county politics was something I wasn't familiar with, to be honest. I always voted. I voted ever since I was turned 18 and I was able to vote. I think it's, your duty as an American to vote, because if you don't vote, you don't have the opportunity to complain. You couldn't complain about nothing or bitch about nothing because you didn't put your input in there, right? So, and there's not very many other countries that have the voting systems that we do. So, I think it's a great thing that we have, and I don't think I think out of like 55,000 people that we have in our town, I think like 9,000 or something voted, which is it's insane. That's crazy number of people that don't vote, that don't put their input in there. But yeah, it was a learning experience. I learned a lot of things, good and bad. But at the end of the day, back to the drawing board. Like I said, I'm back to taking fighting seriously. I'm finally at the point in my career that I'm making money. I'm actually finally making really good money being a fighter, and I kind of took that for granted. And now, like I said, I'm wanting to go ahead and try to, fight for, a few more years and see how much money I can make.
For sure. I've been talking to a lot of fighters around the world that do not fight for the UFC, who fight for other promotions such as Brave, CF, and ACB, and they're all saying the same thing. It's like, hey, I could make money, and I don't have to be in the UFC. Do you believe the same thing?
Man, my contract right now that I have is just as good as a UFC contract. For if I was to step in the UFC, I'd probably be getting paid less than I'm getting paid now. So definitely, the UFC, people look at the UFC, and I did as well for a long time. It's kind of like the NFL, the premier sports league for fighting. And in some ways, that's the case. I think, the top 10 guys in the UFC are probably the top 10 guys in the world. I could probably see that. But outside of maybe the top 10, I feel like I can compete with any of those guys. There's a few guys even in the top 10 I feel like I can compete with. But I'm saying, at the level I am now and the little bit of training that I have and the training partners, I don't feel like there's that big of a gap between Bellator, ACB, any of those promotions anymore. I think it's all pretty well even because everybody's starting to pay well now, so it's a little bit different.
All right, let's get into your fight on June 16th, ACB 88 versus Brett Cooper. The Australian audience, they have never seen you fight, and if they have, it's from distance. Can you describe yourself to them?
Yeah, you're going to see me coming forward, Australia. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see me bringing some pressure, bringing some hard punches, some hard takedowns, some heavy slams. I get in people's face. I ain't the type of fighter that lets people back me up or land. I like to come forward, and I like to be the aggressor, and I like to finish. That's another thing I really like, pride myself in is trying to finish the entire time. When I'm out there throwing punches or grappling, I'm trying to look for submissions or look for knockouts. I think that's the biggest thing about me is I just try to finish the entire time.
You are from Tennessee, but right now you're in Florida training. Where are you getting your work in at?
I'm down here with Daniel Mendez and Jay-Z at the Black Zillions, down here working with these guys. Just let's do some cross training, man. I have a hard time finding training partners in Tennessee now. There's some guys that can compete with me boxing. There's some guys that can compete with me jiu-jitsu wise in their own aspects, But once we put the little gloves on and it turns into that type of thing, I feel like I'm leaps and bounds above most people in Tennessee. So it's just hard for me to get a lot of good work and get pushed. It's most time it's me, doing bully in the ring or things like that. It's like having a fresh partner every minute or something like that, and just working with a bunch of different people that's getting me tired is really how I've spent, my last few camps. That's kind of one of the main reasons, I wanted to step away from fighting too at the time, because my one coach, Caleb, he left me to get a real job. And my other coach, Dustin, he started started doing his real estate. And then like my training partner started thinning out. And, it's basically just like me training myself with the help of a few guys. And I've got Matt McKenna. He's one that brought me down here to Florida and helping me out in big ways and training with me every day and making sure I'm doing my conditioning. It just helps to have just somebody pushing you, because, as motivated as I am, as self-motivated as I am, it's still hard to do these things sometimes. You still need to have somebody, tell you what to do here and there every now and then. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm missing. So just coming down here and get to work with some different guys and some people that I can actually push me. Yuri Villafort that I fought for RFA is down here, and he's a super good training partner for me as well. There's a lot of good guys down here, so I'm excited to be here, and I'm definitely learning. That's what I told Jay-Z tonight. Me and Jay-Z done some one-on-one training tonight, and I was like, bro, this is the first time I feel like I've learned anything in a year or so. Like, it really felt like he showed me some different things. I was like, man, it just feels so weird to be learning some things, because, like I said, it's just not something I'm used to at the point anymore.
You haven't been in the cage for 8 months. So throughout that time, I know you've been preoccupied with other things. Did you get in training, or were you completely out of the game?
I was basically completely out of it, man. I was, training here or there, once or twice, but not very many times at all. So that's why. But the good thing is, like, even though I wasn't in the gym, I was, I was still, doing some things cardio wise, like playing football, playing, picking up games of basketball, and some things like that. So I thought when I got back in the gym, my cardio was going to be like shit, but it wasn't. My cardio was still pretty decent. I was just super fat was the only thing that was really felt like it was holding me back. Now that my weight's down, like I feel like I'm finally able to, bounce around on my toes. And, but it was definitely the longest I ever went without training. Even when I would take, a little bit more time off in between fights or, due to broken ribs or whatever, I would still be in the gym doing something and still trying to, just work as little as I could. But this was the longest I've been out of the gym, and definitely the longest it's been since I fought. But it is what it is. I'm I'm back in shape, and I'm injury free, which is one of the weirdest things. Other than a few little tiny bumps and bruises here and there, I'm injury free for the first time in a long time. So there for a while when I was fighting back to back to back to back, there's always lingering injuries. Feet, knees, and elbows, and all that stuff, and neck. Now I'm pretty much injury free, so it feels good to be back in the gym that way too.
You fought as low as featherweight and as high as middleweight. What makes welterweight the optimal weight class for you?
I think 55 is honestly the optimal weight class for me as far as my size and everything like that. I just think the biggest difference is welterweight, I don't have to cut hardly any weight. Especially, my water cuts are very, very easy. And I'm a strong guy. I think a lot of people that step in the ring with me, they don't think how strong I am. I guess, I just look smaller or something, especially in welterweight. But I get in there and surprise those guys with my strength and my athleticism. So 170, I'm full of energy there. Like I said, the weight cut's the biggest thing for me. Making 55 is even hard now. I get up to around 200 pounds. So 55 is rough, but I'm probably going to go back to 55 after this fight. Depending, it just depends on, I've got some kind of plans and some fights that I want through ACB, at the lightweight division. So there's a guy that I really want to fight. That's a UFC fight. That was a UFC fighter. That's a big name. And I really want to take him on next. So if we can make that fight happen, I'd be really pumped about it.
Like yourself, your opponent, Brett Cooper, he doesn't really go to the judges. He finishes his fights. Does this fight excite you more than some of your previous fights, some of your previous matchups?
Yeah, he's got some good wins too. Like that's kind of the thing about the last couple fights I've had. The guys have been, mainly fighting in, Russia and places like that. So it was really just hard to judge of their caliber. And I just didn't know none of the guys they fought. But, Brett Cooper's got wins over some pretty notable guys. He's got win over Kendall Grove and some other Bellator guys. And, he's got some wins over I think was he the ACB champion at one time, No. I think he was the ACB champion. He either fought for the championship or was the champion for ACB. But he's just tough, man. He's well-rounded. He finishes fights. He's got good cardio. He's big. He's strong. I think he's fought at middleweight too. He's just well-rounded, man. He's a veteran. Like somebody's had 38 fights, 28 or 25 wins. 25 wins as a pro is impressive. There's not very many people that have 25 wins as a pro, and that's hard to do. So I respect the guy for sure. He's done a lot in the sport, and he's, like I said, he's a very game competitor for me. But I just feel like I'm a little bit younger, and I've not been he's been hit a lot, and I think that's going to be the difference. It's just me being a little bit fresher of a fighter. 38 fights puts a lot of wear and tear on you. So
your opponent Cooper, he's been fighting for ACB for a while. He has good wins. If you beat him, where does that put you in the division if you continue fighting at welterweight?
That's weird. It's weird because I was thinking about that because I looked up and I think he's ranked second or third for ACB welterweight. The championship fights pay pretty crazy for ACB. So that's definitely what I got my sights set on. It's just making the decision if like, hey, if like I really want to stay at 170 or if I want to go down to 55. You know, I guess that just depends on what, you know, I guess after, you know, after this win, I'll just have to talk with them and see what they think and see how many, you know, fights realistically I am away from a title in either weight class. And then, you know, if it goes for there, because, you know, that's kind of the thing with me, I guess. You know, I'll just have to talk with ACB and see where we're at, on the same page for 55 or 70, really.
There's some rumors that you have a new 3-fight deal with ACB. Where do you see yourself by the end of the year? Do you see a belt wrapped around your waist, or do you see that it will take longer than that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure where they see me in the title picture. I know that in this contract, I had talked with them about, you know, title implications. So that was kind of the cool thing about this particular contract is like, you know, we've talked about that a little bit. So, I mean, I think they see me as somebody that can be their champion. I think they see me as somebody that fight for their championships. So it's a good thing all the way around because, like I said, I mean, they pay their champions phenomenally. I never cared about belts really until now, just simply because, like, unless it was a UFC belt, I really didn't care about it because, you know, RFA belt's cool, CFFC belt's cool, you know, in the States. You know, you got some bigger shows that are cool to have the belts, but to me, none of them really meant a lot. But this is different, you know. This right here means that, hey, you know, I could really go out there and make some money, have a belt, be the champion, and then really, you know, because like I said, I mean, I think it's just a great opportunity for me, man. ACB pays great, and I'm blessed to be with such a good company. Plus, I get to go to all these cool places too, man. I mean, it sucks being away from my family, but, you know, going and seeing these places and getting to go to these places I normally would never get to go, it's pretty awesome, I feel.
All right, ACB 88, June 16th. Adam Townsend is going to face Brett Cooper in a welterweight contest. I think that this fight is the dark horse fight of the card, man. Like, I seen your guys' records. I seen your guys' potential. I seen your guys' past performances. A lot of people are not talking about it, but I think that it's going to be one of the most exciting fights of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's an interesting fight. You know, you got some big names in Thiago Silva and Chris Camozzi, and also with the Barnett guy. You know, I've been around both of those guys, and I fought, you know, beside of them before on shows. So, you know, those are guys that bring exciting fights as well. I think the ACB 88 is one of their top cards for bigger name guys on it. I mean, I think that's really, you know, a good card for ACB in general. And plus it's in a cool place like Brisbane, Australia. So, you know, we are definitely maybe the dark horse card. You know, we're third from the, you know, we're co-main event, I guess is what you'd call it. So it's pretty cool. You know, I'm pumped. I'm ready to fight Brett Cooper. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're not lying about this card being stacked with great fights and big names. Thank you for your time, Adam, and good luck on your fight, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking with me. Now, I hope you have a good day.